Good afternoon, Danielle. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I am fantastic. I first and foremost want to say thank you for being a part of the Women in Tech and Their Money Stories series. I love that background that you have rocking there.
Thank you. Thank you. It is fake, I will say. I am pretending like I'm at the office. So this amazing artwork is from a local-ish artist. I think they're actually in the Chicago area now, but from the area in Urbana, Illinois. And I actually am working from home, but I have a little, background to pretend like I'm working at the office
I
today.
love it. Much better than my background and very much in theme with technology for sure. For those
Yeah.
of you that are joining us today, I had the pleasure of meeting Danielle almost a year ago now in another
Yeah.
organization that we're part of called Women in Business Connect. Many of you are aware of my good friend Tiffany English, who runs that organization. And we had a 2-day virtual seminar, wasn't it? And
Yeah.
Danielle was working behind the scenes to keep our technology running smoothly, but more importantly, got to tell us a little bit about what she does. So I'm going to let you take it from here, Danielle.
Yeah, so I work for Pixo. I'm the account executive there. We're a woman-owned technology business in Central Illinois, Champaign-Urbana, and we create custom websites, apps, mobile apps or web apps, and software that just really put people first. So we think about what technology we're building based on a user experience, the people actually using it, so that the tech that's built actually gets used and not just sits there and people are frustrated with it.
As somebody that spent the majority of my time in corporate America, I can tell you how frustrating it is to deal with the cookie cutter technology. And so the fact that you customize it and put it to uh, the people first, the people that are actually using it. I
Yep.
can't imagine how much of a game changer that would have been for doing my job and doing it a lot more
Yeah.
efficiently. So
And it's very eye-opening. Like when you start talking to real humans that are using any piece of technology these days, like there's going to be complaints, right? Like they're not super happy with everything involved with features or how it's laid out. But when you start talking to real users, you get real amazing insights on how to create something that is, going to be used and great for communication, all the things. It's wonderful.
well, and to take it one step further, you mentioned that it's a woman-owned technology company. I mean, there's what, 1% of women in the industry, if that, and to have found enough of you to even create a whole entire organization is just a miracle in itself. Tell us a little bit about how you got to be at Pixo and what you do with them.
Yeah, so I've been and it's been interesting, my background, my career. I fell into working in sales, business development when I graduated from the University of Illinois. And I stayed in the Champaign-Urbana area, starting at a Hilton Garden Inn, working in their sales and catering department, planned a whole bunch of events, learned how to do that, met a whole lot of people. And then I got recruited away from the Hilton to work for other very unique companies that are in the Champaign-Urbana area. Never thought a day in my life I would work sales, but it has certainly 16 years later been where I have stayed. But it's been really fun to talk about complicated but simple services,
Mhm.
like just planning a wedding, for example. That was something I did at the Hilton Garden Inn. It seems simple, right? Until you actually are
Until
the
you do
bride
it.
and plan it. And then
Right.
you're like, wow, there's a lot of decisions to make.
Mhm.
So I started out like with that simple thing of planning weddings and corporate events. But then I moved into working for a company that did lofting systems at universities. So when you think about moving into a dorm for the first time and you need more space in your dorm room, you loft your bed. But there is a
Have you
company
explained that?
that
Because
can
I
do it
wasn't
for
quite
you.
sure where you were going with that. But I'm
Uh-huh.
thinking like if you were a child and it's basically like a bunk bed without the bottom bunk, is that exactly
Exactly. So you could put your desk underneath, so
right?
you get your bed elevated so you can have more space when you're, doing homework, right? That's what you do in your dorm room is do homework. So
I was fortunate never to have the dorm room experience. Have you? or did you do it?
Not exactly. I lived in a house with 30 other women, but it was not a sorority. We were a private house, but we still shared a space with
So
another
bordello, is
person.
that what they call them?
But then I left that company. I got stolen, which was a wonderful steal, to work for Taylor Studios, and that company is local here in the Champaign County area. They build museum exhibits.
That's cool.
Another very interesting, weird job, right? So talking with people about what it would be to build a museum exhibit. Nobody really understands that process until they're going through it. So that was really fun. But that's how I got connected with Pixo, because Taylor Studios and Pixo were good friends, being, two very unique companies in the area that serviced just a unique population. And so when the opportunity came up to work in the technology space right around pandemic time, I thought, this is going to be a really neat opportunity. And it's been an interesting and very educational event in my life so far.
That's a really interesting journey, not one you hear often. And
Yeah.
I'm not surprised that you found your way into new business development and account management, because at the end of the day, I think women are really great at relationships, building relationships, strengthening relationships. And I think that's what makes us actually better salespeople, because we care, we listen, and then we find the solution, right? And so I could
Yeah.
see you being very successful at Pixo and what you do with them.
Yeah. And
and
it is listening. It's a lot of that. It's a lot of asking really broad questions, but
Mhm,
then hearing the answer and understanding like which choose your own adventure path that they want
right,
to go down.
right. No, I totally get that. So you said 16 years, quite a journey, not your average,
Yeah.
like up the corporate ladder. What would you say you're most proud of, maybe a career success you want to share with us?
Yeah, I think it's interesting, my journey in general. So it hasn't been the straight path, even though it
Uh-huh.
has mainly been just sales related and business development. Those different industries that I've worked in with different types of people, really just understanding that the biggest barrier to anybody saying yes to a new company is the trust of
Mhm.
them doing something right for you. And so helping people do that through these years, I've really enjoyed that. And I'm a curious person by nature. And so I got to learn at every place that I was something new.
Mhm.
And I'm still learning today, almost 2 years into working at Pixo. And I think technology is definitely the industry I will forever be learning, because it is constantly changing. And that's fun.
It is fun. And I honestly, one of the reasons that I got actively involved here in Chicago in the women in tech space is because I just don't know what I don't know, right? I'm a Gen Xer. We're kind of
Yeah.
sandwiched between, like we helped create the internet, but I don't think we know what to do with all this other stuff that the millennials know how to do. So for me, it was one of the reasons why I joined Women Tech Founders and some other organizations, was so that I could learn,
Yeah.
and it's something that I'm constantly learning, because to your point, it's constantly changing. And that means you always have a job. And B,
Very
good for
true.
you for having a crystal ball to know that you wanted to work from home going forward, never having to worry about going into an office again if you chose not to. So
Exactly. Yeah, that's been very interesting too for Pixo, because pre-pandemic, most of us at Pixo worked at the office.
mhm.
But now it's just really kind of opened the doors to talent in different places too. So we're able to not just be in Central Illinois, even though the majority of us still live and work here.
That's fantastic. I love this
Yeah.
story and this
Yeah.
journey for you. So I'm assuming that along that path and that journey, you probably learned a few lessons. Probably weren't always working for a woman-owned company or one that is exclusively with women, but I'm sure even then there's been some drama or whatever that may have occurred. What do you think stands out to you the most?
Yeah, I've been really fortunate that most of my direct bosses have been female,
Okay.
even if they weren't necessarily the owners of the company. And I've been really lucky in that sense, because I probably only had one job that I can think of that there was a male direct report I was reporting to, and I never in my life knew what the difference was until that job. And then having to feel like I had to be 120% every day instead of just myself at that job made me like look back and reflect on all the women that I have worked with that were amazing and supportive. So it was a much different feeling. And then I'm just really fortunate now that our leader at Pixo is just so compassionate, and she's just an excellent leader all around. I can't even say enough good things about the direction she takes Pixo and how much she cares about employees and clients.
And there's definitely different management styles for sure. And it's great to hear that she actually cares about her employees and the direction of her company. So many times it's really based on bottom line numbers, how much revenue we're making, how much product we're pushing out, and it's not about the people. So it's nice to see that it's slowly changing, but at least you're in an organization that appreciates it.
Yeah, and core values are a huge thing that I look at if I am going to change a company. And when Pixo approached me, I looked at those and I was like, this sounds so great. Like all your core values and honesty and integrity are always big on my list. Obviously big on Pixo's as well. People over profit. So like not worrying solely about that bottom line. Mm-hmm. And I asked like, man, what's the negative here? Like, do you kick puppies? Like, not that I would ever like no, everybody's an animal lover. And I'm right. Like, what is the downside here? And there hasn't been one. It's been fantastic.
Well, and I think we're programmed that if something's too good to be true, it usually is. And I'm sure you're waiting for the other shoe to drop to be like, when is that big surprise going to happen? But there can be companies that do right by their people and their customers and can be profitable at the same time.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. That's great. Hey, you didn't mention what kind of clients do you service? Do you have particular industries that you work with?
So Pixo is pretty diverse, which is fantastic. But we focus a lot on working with higher education. So being right here in the backyard of the University of Illinois kind of spurred the partnership with higher education. And actually being here in Central Illinois also connected us with the ag world. And so we do a lot of ag tech work, which I'm really passionate about myself too, because even though, like I said, I fell into sales, my minor is in animal sciences. I grew up in Central Illinois where there's certainly, cornfields and beans all around me. But I was raised with horses. So I have this like passion for the ag world as well.
Can you go a little bit deeper into what ag tech would be for those of us who have no clue?
Yeah. So farming has certainly evolved quite a bit. And it keeps growing, and there's sensors that they can now use to detect what's going on in your soil. I think almost every tractor I see has more screens in it than any office would typically have, showing them like what's going on minute by minute. So there's so much data that's being collected to help us farm better and to feed the world better. That how do we manage all that? How do we get the good insights to actually help us make business decisions in the farming world? So we kind of team up with people that have great disruptor ideas that want to include technology, but then there's the tried and true, like I said, like there's GPS that helps them drive tractors in a straight line, certain things like that. So we help with different types of software with that, but it's like the sky's the limit on what's capable when you add technology into the mix.
I never would have thought that was a thing.
And it's so fun. I know. I just love seeing. There's a lot of startup companies here in Central Illinois, like I said, that are trying to disrupt the industry, and they definitely want to change the world of ag and help feed the world. And it's fantastic.
Now that's a cause I can get behind for sure. For sure.
Exactly. I love to eat.
I do too. Are there women in tech organizations down by you?
So on LinkedIn, I started a Women in Ag Tech group. So if anybody does want to hop on board, and I've just been collecting people, to be honest, to be a part of that group and to help share what's going on, because like you said before, women in the tech space is pretty small. Women in ag also, I think it's growing, but it's also one of those male dominated industries. So when you combine the two, it's pretty limited. There's many times I'm the only female in a room of men, which is empowering, but also like I'm looking for the other women to join as well. And I know they're out there. So I don't know if there's anything really specific geared towards women in tech in my space here in Central Illinois, but trying to find those people through LinkedIn is something I've been doing for the last couple of years.
I love that. I love that. And we used to have a couple great organizations here in Chicago, but they kind of fell by the wayside when the pandemic happened. And I can appreciate where you're coming from. You know, one of the reasons that I got involved in the women in tech space is because it is also a industry like financial services that is very male dominated. And I found my people, if you will, my tribe, with understanding the frustrations that women in tech have as well. And so it's one of the reasons why I actually started the series. And so for those joining us here today, I am a financial planner. And one of the reasons I created this series was because I've found that a lot of women in tech have some really great money tips. So I'd love to hear you share one or two of yours that you've learned along the way, or that you feel like have been instrumental either in your personal, your career, or even in business.
Yeah, I think back to actually getting my first credit card is one of the first big tips I ever got. And I'm grateful so much that my dad invested time in telling me about these tips, because I don't know who else would have taught me, because it didn't happen in school.
No, it didn't. Isn't that a shame?
Yeah, right. So I really wanted to get a credit card at a young age. I had gotten a job and I was like, this makes sense. I should get a credit card. And my dad said, okay, we'll do this. But you have to remember, don't put anything on your credit card that you couldn't pay for in cash today. And so obviously starting out, that was, it just stuck with me. And knowing now as I get older, how many people might be suffering from credit card debt. I'm just really grateful that he started that at, I don't know, 16, I think I was when I got my first one. And it's something I still try to do today as much as humanly possible. Like there is no way that I would want to carry a balance because of what he instilled in me at 16.
And
so
you're
that's
very
one big
fortunate thing. Because I did not have that lesson, and I went to Penn State and I was like, oh, free t-shirt, there's a lion on the credit card.
Yeah.
And then 3 years later, I came out of school with like $7,000 in pizza to credit card debt. So,
right.
It's a sad lesson to learn the hard way. And, to this point now, I won't use a credit card at all. Because I know I just don't have I think it's a very low percentage of people that have the discipline to pay off their card every month.
I agree.
I 100% tell my clients that unless you're trying to get, rewards or points,
right,
and you can make that payment at the end of the month with no interest, then I honestly don't think people should use them. So,
I agree.
Kudos to you. And you're so, next time you see your dad, give him a big hug and thank him for that. That's a great money tip. Anything else that he taught you along the way, or that you learned along the way?
Well, I would say the other thing, and I was really scared to do this, but when I first started working in the real world, I talked to a financial advisor. They really wanted, me to start investing, and I wanted to say no, but I said yes. And so I started putting what I could into my future. And I know it's going to pay off. And I know that, looking at the stock market now is a terrible thing. So don't look. But, that future planning is really hard to think about when you don't have a lot and when you're starting out.
Right.
But anything you can do helps you for your future. So I know that's probably the same advice you would like to give to.
Absolutely,
and
absolutely. So, the power of compounding is really a true thing. So start early, even if it's $10, $20, $50 a month, it will grow exponentially when you're older. So that is fantastic advice. And I would say, you know what, look at the stock market, because right now it's an opportunity to buy on sale. And
True. Very
you know,
true.
another lesson I just like to throw out there is we like to buy low and sell high. And right now we've been given an opportunity where the stock market is down 15%. And the last time that happened was in 2008. So when you think about this, do you want to buy your purse, jacket, trip to Portugal at full price, or do you want to get it on sale?
Discount.
All right. So Danielle, this has been fantastic. Where can we find you?
Yeah, so I think you can certainly look at pixotech.com for our website, but
Okay.
on LinkedIn, we're probably the most active. So follow us on LinkedIn,
Okay.
and follow me too. I'd love to share on LinkedIn, just typical stuff, not just tech stuff, but like what's going on in life or in business, which hopefully other women can relate to as well as in their career. So yeah, follow me and follow Pixo on LinkedIn.
Fantastic. We will do that. Thank you so much for your time today. I really enjoyed our conversation, and I'm excited to put our interview out on LinkedIn tomorrow for the
Wonderful.
world
Thanks,
to
Mel.
listen to. And like she said, feel free to find her on LinkedIn or on pixo.com. And I wish you a happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Thank you, Mel.
Take care. Have a good one.
Bye.